This time I'm going to show you how to make this handy apron. It has a pocket on the front and it's lined at the back and it's got a nice long strap. Now I've put the fabric requirements and the measurements in the description box underneath the video, but do double check if this is for yourself that the strap is as long as you want it to be, or you can make it shorter if you wanted to. You could even make it long enough so that it ties all the way around and ties at the front instead of at the back. And the apron itself could easily be made shorter or longer if you preferred as well. But it's quite a quick make, but if it's something that you're going to gift or sell even, because it has the lining on the back, it feels really nice quality. Now I've used a craft weight cotton or a quilting cotton for this one with dinosaurs. Dinosaurs aren't just for the kids. And a fern green contrast fabric for the pockets, the lining and the strap. But if you wanted to use maybe a denim, make a nice barbecue apron, or if you use a linen, would be very nice and durable as well. So that I'll leave entirely up to you. But this is just a craft cotton with a plain cotton backing to it, which I think contrasts really nicely. So again, it is quite a quick make. So if you're making to sell, then you should be able to make a few of these in a day, and I think you could charge a pretty penny for them as well, because again, with that lining, they really do feel quality. So have a look in the description box for your fabrics, go choose yours, and let's get sewing. So this is going to be the front of my apron, and I've got a plain fabric for the lining for the back of the apron. Of course you can make this in any width or any length that you like. I was trying to keep it within kind of a fat quarter kind of size myself. And then I've got the fabric for the pocket on the front. This is folded over, and although my fabric matches, I thought it looked a little bit plain on its own, so this time I'm just going to put a border across there just to lift it a little bit. And then the waistband, I need to join it, and I don't want to put a join straight down the centre here. I don't think that looks very good. So I've got a smaller piece of fabric which is just a little bit narrower than the apron itself, and I'm going to join that with two more pieces of fabric, one each side. And again, you make these as long as you like. I'll leave all of the measurements in the description box down below for the one that I've made. But if you wanted to make these straps even longer so that they go all the way around and then tie at the front, then that is entirely up to you. So first thing we're going to do is to make up the pocket. So let's take my folded piece of fabric and the strip of fabric that I'm going to put across the front there, and then I'm just going to iron the sides of that strip over by about ½ inch or a centimetre. So I just need to wait for my iron to warm up a little bit. So just you no need to measure this, as long as it's even all the way across. And just fold that up. Of course, if you're using a patterned fabric, or if your pocket is in the same fabric as your apron, then you're not going to need to put anything like this on. I just thought it added a little bit of interest to the front of the pocket. There we go, so just fold that over and press. And the other side again. My iron wasn't quite hot enough. There we go. Can you hear the pigeons outside? There's a tree right next to my studio here that they like to sit in, and they're particularly noisy this morning. So this is going to go to the front of the pocket. Now my pocket's going to be folded in half like so, with the fold at the top. So the strip needs to go just underneath the fold, so I'm going to crease that so I know where it is and open that out, and that can go straight across there. So just sorry, those pigeons are very loud today. I'm just going to sit that on top of my ruler so that I know it's straight, and we'll have a couple of pins in there just to hold it in place. Sorry, I just knocked my pincushion off. There we go, and I'm going to just stitch close to the edge across the bottom and across the top. And then this in turn is going to be folded over right sides together. And I'm going to sew around the sides, across the bottom, but leave a turning up in the bottom so I can turn it the right side out. Then we'll snip across the corners to cut down on the bulk, just up to the stitch line. And turn this the right side out. And if you have something pointy like a knitting needle or a blunt pencil or a toning tool, then we'll push those corners out. And press. So I'm just going to fold the opening or the edges of the opening inwards and press it, and then when this is sewn onto the apron, that'll close the opening as it goes on. And of course with the pockets you can have that in any size that you like as well, or indeed leave it off if you don't think that you're going to use it. Okay, then we'll top stitch just across the top of the fold there. This now goes on to the front of the apron. So just make sure if your fabric's directional that it's the right way round. And I can place that in the centre. Again, you can measure a mark to make sure that's exactly in the centre and it's straight to the bottom as well. A couple of pins to secure this. And then we'll sew it in place. So I'm going to sew around the bottom three sides, making sure that the stitches at the top here, I backstitch a couple of times to make the seam strong. Just got a loose thread there I need to snip away. Now if you wanted to, you could put a dividing line down the centre to make that into two pockets. Or if you wanted a smaller one as a pen pocket, that's entirely up to you. You can customise it as much as you like. Now I'm going to put these two pieces, so I've got the backing and the outer, right sides together. And I think I'm just going to round off the corners there. I think that would look nice. So again, secure with a few pins. Like so. And then I'll need something that's round to use as a template, and I've actually got a cup I'm going to use. So, oh, where did I put my pen? There we go, sorry about that. So I'm just going to place the cup over the edge and just round that off, and do that on both corners. And then snip around here. So it doesn't really matter what size circle you're using. Lining's a little bit larger there. I'm just going to trim that back a little bit. So again, it doesn't matter what size of circle, so something around 3 or 4 inches or about 10 centimetres will be fine. Oops, that's better. And then I'm going to fold this in half and actually cut both pieces at the same time so I know that they are symmetrical. Of course, if you wanted to leave the bottom square, then that's fine. There we go. So I've now got this shape. And I'm going to sew around the bottom 3 sides, but leave the top open. So my lining seems to be a little bit bigger than the outer fabric, so I'm just going to go along the edge of the outer fabric. So nice and smooth around the curve, so if you need to slow down a little bit, then do so. Because remember, this seam is going to form the shape of your apron. And I'm using the edge of my foot as a seam allowance, which is just over ½ inch, or that's probably around about 7 millimeters, but that's not particularly important on something like this. If your seam allowance is a little bit wider, then that's absolutely fine. So again, nice and smooth around the curve, and back down this side. Let's take out the pins. And I'm just going to trim the seam allowance back to the curve. You could snip into the seam allowance if you wish, but just around the curve bit, just to make the seam sit a little flatter when we turn it the right side out. Let's trim this back like so. Don't need to do that all the way around, just on the curved bit. Then we'll turn this the right side out. And press it again. So I'm just going to make sure that my curves are nice and curvy, because you can always go back over them at this point. Normally I'd be at my big ironing board as well, but this one's fine for here. And just pushing that so that the seam sits just on the edge. And press, and do that all the way around. So at this point, if you find that your curve isn't perfect, or you've got any little puckers in there, then you can simply go around the seam again. So straight across the bottom. So it's quite a quick make. You could actually make it reversible if you had maybe a print on both sides, or if you have any of the patterned fabric left over, you could make a pocket on the opposite side before you sew them together. So you've got a reversible apron. And there we go. And why not theme it? What about your Christmas apron, or a birthday apron, or a summer apron, or a winter apron? Depends on the type of fabric that you choose. I've used a craft cotton for this one, which is absolutely perfect. Doesn't need interfacing or anything like that, and it's going to be perfectly washable as well, and quite withstanding, quite sturdy. And by having the backing on it as well, it makes for a nice durable kind of apron. So if you do wear an apron every day, maybe it's something that you wear when you're sewing to store your bits and bobs in, or while you're cooking or doing the housework, then it's going to last you a long time. And great for barbecuing as well. Right, now let's make up the strap. So again, this is in 3 pieces, so I don't have a seam straight down the centre. Let's open those up. So there's a smaller piece that goes in the middle of the apron. And I haven't measured that to an exact length. I will put the measurements down below, but it's just short of the end of the apron. I just think it looks so much nicer to have 2 seams down here than 1 straight down the centre, so that's why I've done it that way. And we'll sew these 2 pieces right sides together. And then sew the second long piece on the opposite side of the short piece. Then I'm going to go back to my ironing pad, and where's the seam going? We're going to press the seams open first of all. Like so, and then just the very centre, just press that. I'm going to fold this over by just over 1/4 of an inch, so by the same seam allowance that I've been using, and press that. And again, there's no need to worry about measuring. And I'm just going to go just a little bit beyond there, so it's around about the same width as the apron. Like so. And then we'll take this wrong sides together, and I'm going to press the whole strap in half. So again, just keep lining up the edges and just press there all the way across. Go back to our apron again, and I'm just going to fold this in half and mark the center point. So I'm just going to make a little snip into the seam allowance. You could use a chalk or a pen if you wanted to. And then I'm going to also mark the center, let's open this up again, of my strap along the unfolded side. So let's mark the center of this section here by again folding in half. Just crease it this time, should be okay. And then we'll line up the crease at the center to the center of the apron. So again, the folded side is on this side, so this is the raw edge that's not folded. And just pin that up to the end of the apron. Then I'm going to turn over and sew from this side, quite close to the edge, and just from the end of the apron to the end of the apron here. Right, now let's fold the strap back on itself. I'll do it this way around actually. So the strap is now folded in half with the edges meeting, so you need to fold that seam down, and I'll pop a pin right at the end here of the apron. I shan't pin all the way around. I'll do the same from this side, so again fold in half so that the edges meet. Pop a pin in there. And I'm going to sew from the edge here, so don't catch the actual apron, so right from the very edge of the apron all the way along the strap. I said I'm not going to pin that, I'll just keep putting the edges together as I'm sewing. So fold that in half all the way down, and we'll sew all the way along the strap and across the end, and then turn around and do exactly the same on this side. So remember, don't catch the apron. Take the pin out now. I'm going to start sewing just from, just line those edges up again. Just from this side of where the apron is. If you catch the apron, it'll leave a little tuck in the stitches and that won't look too neat. So then let's line up the edges here and sew all the way around. Let's snip off those corners and then we'll turn this the right side out. So I like to take one end and just push the end in. And then if you have something like a pencil, a knitting needle, a skewer, or something long and pointy like that, you can simply push the end through the tube and will come out just at the side of the apron here. And then if you need to, you can take a pin and just pull out the corners. And we'll do the same on this side, so push the end in. Push it all the way through. Quite satisfying doing this. There we go. And pull that through. And then we need to press it again. So just make sure the seam is on the end there, so we're nice and flat. And it'll be very crumpled up now because it's just been turned through. So maybe plenty of steam or a little bit of best press or spray starch will help there. And we'll press all the way along. So where I folded the edge of the strap under now covers over the seam on this side, so that keeps it nice and neat. I am going to put just a few pins in there to hold it flat. Make sure that that fold covers over the stitches because you don't want to see those. And it's not particularly important if you're going to be wearing this, you know, it's your apron, nobody's going to see it, but if you are going to give this as a gift or if you're selling it, then it is nice that, you know, the underside, the bit that you don't see, looks as neat as the top bit that you do see. Then from the right side, I'm going to sew all the way around the edge of the strap, so all the way down to the end, across the end, and then back around the top as well. So let's just snip off those little loose ends to make this neat. And that is my apron finished. You may need to give it one final press, but that is mine finished. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you make lots of them and enjoy making every one of them. Make them as gifts, make them for yourself, make them to sell. That's up to you. I shall see you again next time. Bye bye.